Movies have a huge problem with genius characters, and I do think there's a real world problem that it's making worse. Hear me out. Often when the character is smarter than the writer, the intelligence becomes clairvoyance.
And there's no such thing as psychics.
This is especially blatant in murder mysteries and heist movies. You know, the detective who sees a bit of dirt on someone's shoe and immediately jumps to impossible conclusions. Interesting. Mud from the Eastern District. You recently visited a florist. You have relationship problems, a military background, and an estranged father.
And I'm probably the greatest detective in the world.
First of all, is the same damn mud everywhere? In 47 years of being alive, I've never once had specific dirt on my shoes. Maybe with a DNA test you could determine if it came out of a terrier or a spaniel, but that's about it. Interesting. Lavender pollen, sold only by one florist near the harbor. Dude, you're in a city of 8.5 million people. There are 17 places selling any flower you can imagine within a walking distance. And the reason they keep those flowers in stock is that people buy them and take them to other parts of the city. I know. Your understanding of human behavior rivals that of a manosphere guru selling an ebook titled Mastering Human Behavior for $700. The level of evidence based on which these characters make deductions reminds me of the single mom on Facebook diagnosing narcissism every time someone doesn't text back. This happens when the writer decides on a solution for the mystery and works backwards, and then forgets that the clue that leads there could also lead to a million other places. Here's a more realistic version. Interesting. Mud from the Eastern District on your shoe. No man, I stepped in some dog shit outside a little. You recently visited a florist. No, but I went to a funeral though. But you have an estranged father. My biological dad died when I was little, but my stepdad's actually a really lovely guy. Honestly, these geniuses would just be confidently wrong all day like their ChatGPT wearing a stupid hat, but in the movies they're always right. And maybe that is why people are so primed to trust confident morons on the internet these days. At least the RDJ version of Sherlock made some mistakes with these wild assumptions. I really appreciated that. Real intelligence is really boring. Real smart people doubt themselves and check stuff out. Movie smart people are good at being correct based on almost nothing. And do you know what that looks like? It looks like the people who see one YouTube video and Dunning-Kruger themselves into thinking they have done research and arrived at the only possible correct conclusion. Maybe these movie geniuses really are contributing to the problem. Movies have trained us to confuse confidence with cognition. Another common thing is the super genius like Lex Luthor or Brainiac or Sherlock's sister Eurus being able to reprogram people into being their followers by just talking to them for a little bit. In reality, people have set values and opinions, and throwing logic at them does not work. And the bigger the intelligence gap, the harder it gets. In fact, it seems like being smart just gets in the way, and you actually need really stupid people to convince other stupid people. That's why we're in this mess. And speaking of Lex Luthor, what kind of a super genius thinks shouting out numbers for other people to type in is the best interface for beating a guy who can move faster than a bullet? And speaking of Lex Luthor, what kind of a super genius thinks that giant CGI demon you have no way of controlling wouldn't eat you for a snack as soon as he's done with Superman? Unless you keep it really vague, a movie genius can only be as smart as the writer. That is the ceiling.
Yes.
Writers can easily write people dumber than themselves, of course. Horror movies prove that every day. You can absolutely convince me that someone is brilliant if we never have to look at it too closely. Some girl speaks in Star Trek quotes and then someone tells her to make the space rocket go faster. Somehow she does. Great. Good job, she must be a genius. Because we never had to see the actual thinking. We just saw the result, and that works. So sometimes the best thing you can do is not even try to explain it. I mean, not like yours, Holmes. That was just awful. The genius needs to make some sense.
Isn't it obvious?
But my point is, if you can't be as genius as your character, just imply the intelligence. You can create the vibe of genius. Because as soon as the movie has to explain how the genius actually pulled something off, that's when everything often falls apart at the seams, especially in heist movies. You know the ending, the dramatic montage where the mastermind finally explains how everything happened. And suddenly you realize this genius plan was mostly relying on hungover hospitality workers behaving with the precision of a Swiss cuckoo clock instead of sneaking out for a smoke break. At exactly 9:14, the cleaner enters. At exactly 9:15, security looks the other way. Exactly 9:16, someone wheels towels down a hallway. That's not how anything works. You really think organizations function the way organizations describe themselves in orientation videos? That's like believing you made a true emotional connection with the stripper who smiled at you. People are not machines. Everybody's improvising. Someone's late, someone didn't check their emails, someone has IBS, someone's crying in the back because their boyfriend dumped them. Whoopsie. Congratulations, the heist is over. Ocean's 11 just became Ocean's 6s and 7s. Ocean's 3-ring circus. It feels like clueless fanfiction about working class people written by a particularly inbred aristocrat. It's like the writers of these things have never worked at a job with employees for a day in their life. And here I thought everyone in Hollywood had to work at a restaurant while they're waiting to make it. Isn't that why they call them waiters? I just want one realistic heist movie. Just one where the mastermind unveils the perfect plan and immediately everything goes to shit. At exactly 9:14, the cleaner enters. Oh, no, she's sick. What? Steve's covering. Who's Steve? Oh, the new guy. Why is he in the vault? Oh, he got lost. Why is the security there? Well, Steve started a small fire. Why is there a goat? Oh, that's for the petting zoo fundraiser. Roll credits. Honestly, that would be the smartest movie ever, because the first sign of actual intelligence is expecting people to be an absolute dumpster fire. Of course, there certainly are very intelligent people who think they can predict human behavior like that. People who think of the working class as robots who exist only to execute their assigned task and who don't need space to do stupid human shit in the process. And yeah, they've done pretty well for themselves for a while. I think it's a good time to invest in manufacturers. But that's outside of the scope of what we're talking about right now. While statistical models can indeed predict human behavior, they can only accurately do so at population levels. Millions of people, not hundreds. In terms of the staff within a building in one night, there's simply no way to know what each individual will be up to at any given moment.
Statistically, it's inevitable.
So movie plans are prophecies pretending to be strategy. A real genius usually sounds less like everything happened exactly as I intended, and more like, well, now we know a 16th way doesn't work. Which is realistic, but just not very cinematic. Although, again, RDJ got it right. What is it with that guy? So of course, movies have to cheat. Instead of making the genius smarter, they make everyone around them dumber. Security guards stop noticing obvious things. Police forget how evidence works. Highly trained professionals suddenly develop the situational awareness of Gal Gadot during Corona. Maybe this is why we've all become so terrible at recognizing intelligence. We've spent decades watching fake geniuses confidently explain everything immediately. One clue, one conclusion. Absolute certainty. Always correct. So now confidence feels intelligent and doubt feels stupid. But real smart people are usually the uncertain ones. They want more data. They want meta-studies. And meanwhile, there's a confident guy on YouTube who watched one documentary at 2 a.m. and is somehow certain he's cracked geopolitics, nutrition, and ancient Rome. And that's exactly how movie geniuses behave. So could it be that Sherlock Holmes created comment sections and anti-vaxxers? A confident moron would say yes, but I'm not sure. We need more data. It's a sign of true real-world intelligence to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, because a confident idiot would be offended by what I've just said. And it really helps me get this channel going at no cost to you. However, if you do have money burning a hole in your pocket, you can pick up my stand-up special from the link in the description just for $5. That would be brilliant. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.
It cannot end this way.